My father, consumed by his own ego, cut me out of his life when I refused to bow to my stepmother's demands. Then, at my younger sister's wedding, he publicly branded me a failure. That moment ignited a fire in me to make them regret their actions. One day, an unexpected wedding invitation arrived from my little sister, Claire. Yes, Claire, the same sister who, along with my dad and stepmom, had been the family's pride and joy, the one I hadn't spoken to in 7 years since I walked away from that toxic dynamic. Can you imagine the audacity? After years of silence, no calls, no texts, not even a passing, "How are you?" I received an elegant wedding invitation. Tucked inside was a handwritten note in Claire's unmistakable script, saying she missed me and wanted to mend things. I stared at that note for what felt like an eternity, wrestling with my thoughts. Was this genuine? Could she mean it? After everything they'd done, was she truly reaching out? To give you context, let me take you back. Our mother passed away when I was 15 and Claire was 12. Her death shattered our world. While I was drowning in grief, Dad moved on quickly. Within a year, he remarried. Enter Denise, my stepmother, who seemed determined to erase every trace of Mom. Photos of her disappeared, and the decor she cherished was discarded like it meant nothing. I was devastated. Claire, though, latched onto Denise like she was her salvation. I couldn't blame her. She was just a kid seeking stability. But me, I couldn't stomach Denise or her control over everything. As time passed, things worsened. When I went to college, Dad cut off all financial support. His reasoning: I needed to man up and fend for myself. Meanwhile, Claire was pampered, college paid for a fancy apartment, even a new car. All handed to her effortlessly. I, on the other hand, juggled part-time jobs to survive while trying to launch an event planning business from nothing. Denise dismissed it as a childish dream, while Claire was celebrated as the family's golden child. After years of feeling like an outsider, I'd had enough. I walked away, no big scene, no tearful farewell, just silence. I stopped reaching out, stopped visiting, and threw myself into my work. And you know what? I succeeded. My business flourished beyond my wildest dreams, and I reached a point where I didn't need them. Not Dad, not Denise, not even Claire. Back to the invitation. At first, I wanted to toss it in the trash. Why should I care? Where were they when I was scraping by, barely able to afford food, desperate for even a hint of support? But something held me back. Maybe curiosity, maybe Claire's note. I couldn't tell if it was sincere or just another of Denise's manipulations. Still, I decided to go, if only to see how it played out. If it got too much, I could always leave. I didn't plan to show up empty-handed either. Despite the pain and distance, I wanted to offer Claire something. I proposed covering her wedding's event, planning through my company at a steep discount. She declined politely, saying Denise had everything under control. That hurt, but I let it slide. I'd extended the gesture. It was their choice to accept it or not. I began preparing for the day. I knew stepping into that venue after nearly a decade would reopen old wounds, but I told myself it might be worth it. Maybe Claire was sincere. Maybe she wanted to reconnect. I didn't expect much, but I clung to a faint hope. The night before the wedding, sleep wouldn't come. Memories flooded back, holidays where I was sidelined while Claire was showered with attention. Times Denise humiliated me in front of Dad. Moments that made it clear I was no longer part of their family. I kept reminding myself it didn't matter anymore. I was there for Claire, not them. If things went south, I could walk away. I had nothing to prove. The next morning, I dressed sharply, got in my car, and headed to the venue. I arrived early as always. I'm a planner. Punctuality is my thing. The venue was breathtaking, high ceilings, lavish floral displays, no expense spared. As I entered, nerves and unease hit me. After nearly 10 years, I was about to face them again. Would they welcome me, ignore me, attack me? I had no clue. Then I saw Claire. She looked radiant. She approached and hugged me warmly, thanking me for coming. For a moment, I thought maybe this wouldn't be a disaster. Then I spotted Denise. She was nearby, eyeing me like a predator. Her smile was forced, her gaze icy. "Good to see you," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Still running that little event business?" I gritted my teeth but kept my composure. "It's doing well, thank you." She smirked and turned away, uninterested, typical Denise. I shrugged it off and found my assigned table. The ceremony was stunning, I'll admit. Claire looked truly happy, and for a brief moment I let myself enjoy it. But deep down, I knew the peace wouldn't last. Family drama was inevitable. As I entered the reception hall, my stomach churned. It wasn't the venue. It was spectacular, with sparkling chandeliers, gleaming tableware, and extravagant flowers. The unease came from knowing what was coming. This was my first time facing my family in 7 years, and trouble was brewing. I checked the seating chart and found my name, and my heart sank. Table 14. If you've been to a wedding, you know the deal. The closer to the couple, the better the table. Friends come next, then extended family, and way in the back. That's where they stick the unwanted guests. Table 14 was practically in exile. The message was clear. My table mates. Distant relatives I barely remembered. Aunt Margaret, who always got my name wrong and reeked of old perfume. Uncle Ted, obsessed with his stamp collection. And 2 strangers I didn't know at all. Meanwhile, Claire's friends and Denise's family sat near the dance floor, prime spots. Dad and Denise, front and center, basking in glory. I laughed quietly. Even after 7 years, they knew how to make me feel like I didn't belong. Fine, I was here for Claire, not them. I sat down, keeping my cool. I poured water, glanced around, stayed composed. But then, like a storm rolling in, the first disaster arrived. My father, clearly drunk. Dad doesn't do friendly drunk, he's loud and cruel. He slammed his hand on the table, startling Aunt Margaret. "What are you doing here, Matt?" he slurred. "You weren't supposed to show up." I blinked, caught off guard. "I was invited," I said calmly, pulling out the invitation like proof. "Claire sent this," he snorted. "You should have stayed gone. You're just here to embarrass us, flaunting that pathetic little business of yours." His voice grew louder and eyes turned our way. My face burned with shame and rage. Before I could respond, Denise swooped in right on cue. "Matt," she said, her voice oozing fake concern. "Did you even buy that suit, or is it rented?" She smirked like she'd delivered a killer line. I looked at her, then at Dad, and it sank in. They'd never change, especially not now, drunk on their own arrogance. So I did what I had to. I stood, adjusted my jacket, and said, "Excuse me." Then I walked away. I didn't head for the exit. I needed air. I stepped onto the patio, the cool night breeze hitting my face. But my mind was a whirlwind. Their words echoed, pathetic little business. They couldn't let me exist without tearing me down. I leaned against the railing, staring at the garden, debating my next move. Leave forever. Go back and act like nothing happened. Neither felt right. Then the music started, lively, joyful, completely at odds with my mood. That's when I knew I couldn't stay. Not here, not with them. As I stood there ready to slip away, something caught my attention. The event staff moved with a precision I recognized. The way they adjusted the decor, the lighting, it felt familiar. I slowed down, observing closely. Then it clicked. These weren't just any staff. They were my team. My company had recently acquired a smaller event firm, and this wedding must have been on their books. The flawless execution, that was my crew's work. The irony stopped me cold. Claire and Denise had hired my company, likely without realizing it, to make their day perfect. I stepped aside and called my operations manager, keeping my voice low. "Hey, is this wedding one of ours?" A brief pause. "Yeah, booked months ago. Why?" I let out a soft chuckle. "Just checking." Looking back at the glowing reception hall, it hit me. The people who mocked me were relying on my work to make their day shine. Suddenly, I didn't feel so helpless. I called my manager again, this time with intent. "Check the contract for this event," I said. "Does it include the clause about terminating service for hostility toward staff or management?" "Of course," she replied. "It's standard. If they're abusive, we can shut it down immediately." "Good," I said. "We're pulling the plug." She hesitated. "For real, what happened?" "I'll explain later, just trust me. They've made it clear we're not welcome." "Got it," she said firmly. "We're on it." And just like that, the tide turned. Inside, the reception hummed with music and chatter. Guests sipped drinks, danced, and praised the setup, oblivious to what was coming. My team, ever professional, began dismantling everything with quiet efficiency. Flowers disappeared, lights were taken down, tables cleared, all without drawing attention. Denise was too busy playing the perfect host to notice at first. But murmurs started, guests looked around, puzzled. Then a server approached Denise, whispering something. Her fake smile vanished, replaced by rage. She stormed across the room. "What's happening? Why is everything coming down?" the server faltered. "Ma'am, you'll need to speak with the event coordinator." Denise spotted Kate, my operations manager, calmly overseeing the staff. She charged over. "What are you doing?" Kate stayed professional. "We're ending services per the contract due to hostile treatment of our leadership." Denise blinked. "Hostile treatment? Who's your manager?" Kate pointed to the patio. Denise turned, saw me, and her eyes narrowed. I gave a small wave. She marched toward me. You're doing this?" she hissed. "You can't. This is Claire's wedding." "This is my business," I said calmly but firmly. "You made it clear I'm not valued here. Why would you want my services?" You're sabotaging everything, she spat. This isn't about Claire, it's about how you and Dad treated me. I won't let you insult me and use my team like we're nothing. Kate appeared with a clipboard. We're ready to wrap up, she said. Thanks, Kate. Great work tonight, I replied, holding Denise's gaze. Denise looked ready to combust. I handed her a business card. Any legal concerns, contact our attorney. Have a good night. I left her speechless. By the time my team finished, the once glamorous reception hall was empty. Only a few chandeliers remained. No flowers, no elegant setups, just confused guests whispering. Claire stood near the dance floor, tears in her eyes. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt. But I reminded myself I didn't start this. I only ended it. Driving home, my phone buzzed with notifications. Denise unleashed a barrage of texts, accusing me of ruining everything. She called me spiteful, selfish, said I'd humiliated the family. Dad left garbled voicemails ranting about lawsuits and disloyalty, but Claire's message stood out. It was short. Why would you do this to me? I thought you came to support me. That one stung. It wasn't angry, just wounded. But Claire had stayed silent while I was mocked at her wedding. She didn't stand up for me, didn't intervene. She might not have started it, but she allowed it. The next day, Denise spun her version of events, calling relatives to paint me as the villain. Some cousins and aunts texted, asking for the truth. To those I trusted, I replied. I was insulted and disrespected, so I ended my company's services per the contract. That's it. One aunt responded, good for you. We saw how they treated you at Christmas. It's about time you stood your ground. Her support surprised me. I'd assumed the whole family had written me off. Maybe I was mistaken, then something unexpected happened. A few wedding guests, friends of Claire's in-laws, reached out. They'd noticed how professionally my team handled the situation and were impressed. One woman emailed, saying she admired our composure and wanted to hire my company for a charity event. By the end of the day, 3 more inquiries came in. Their attempt to humiliate me turned into free promotion. Denise wasn't finished, though. She posted a scathing online review full of falsehoods, claiming we were late, unprofessional, and bilayed without reason. I called my lawyer, and within a day, she sent a cease and desist letter. The review disappeared the next day. Then came the best part. My lawyer called. You'll love this, she said. They're threatening to sue, I laughed. For what? They claim you ruined the wedding and caused emotional distress. She assured me it was a bluff. We responded with proof, the contract, staff testimonies, and security footage of Dad's outburst and Denise berating my team. When their lawyer, a friend of Dad's, saw the evidence, their case fell apart. 2 days later, my lawyer emailed. They've backed off, you're clear. A few days after, Claire's husband, Adam, called. Claire wants to talk, he said. She's upset and feels caught between you and Denise. I replied, if she wants to talk, she can call me herself. Eventually, she did. We met at a quiet cafe, and for a moment I hoped we could fix things. But the conversation showed the truth. She blamed me, said I destroyed her wedding, ignored what Denise and Dad had done. I realized Claire wasn't just a bystander anymore. She was part of the problem. I stood and said, I'm done with all of you, and I walked away. That was the last time I saw or spoke to Claire. In the months that followed, my business soared. I landed more clients, built stronger connections. And most importantly, I learned something. Family isn't about blood, it's about respect. And none of them gave me that. Not Dad, not Denise, not even Claire. And honestly, I have no regrets.